Hi, this is Guillermo, the interpreter. So you can turn on the interpretation at this time so that we can begin. Well, have not been assigned as an interpreter yet.
You haven't been assigned?
No.
Did you?
Hold on, I assigned him and then I had to, and then now he's
Oh.
not in there. I don't know.
All right.
I am on as a guest, not as a participant. That's why you did not assign me as an interpreter.
Guillermo should be all set.
Okay. All right. Do we have people coming in, Deb? Thank you, Guillermo.
Yes, I'm gonna admit everyone.
Thank
We'll figure it out. Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
That's a lot of people.
Very nice.
Very excited kids.
I know. So we just ask that everybody mute themselves so we can hear everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome to our SGC training on engagement / building trust, right? So it's SGC training, subtopic family engagement, subtopic building trust. And part one of a two-part training from our wonderful I was by now HPS staff. Our wonderful partner, Michael Herring. He is the president of Personal Safety and Educational Development. He has spoken to over 150,000 parents and educators during his course of his 20+ year teaching, training, classroom management, consulting, and workshop design. We have been working with Michael. I think it's been over a year, right, Michael?
Oh, well, yeah, 2 years, about 2 years. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I just feel like the pandemic just started the other day. Yeah, 2022, oh my gosh, yes. So tonight, our workshop will focus on 3 things, and I want to say this again. This is a 2-part workshop. We are here back in May. Our focus today is lowering barriers, getting to know you and identifying the pain. Michael is very
It's like breaking up. It's hard to hear. I don't know.
Padre, pero que disrespectful.
make sure you raise your hand, you type in the chat, you whatever you need to do, make sure that questions are out there. He likes to ask us questions as well, so make sure that you're on and just conversation. We want to hear from you all. So build those bridges, right? Once
You're breaking up. I can't hear. Breaking up a little bit. Is it just on my end? I hear you breaking up, or in
No, she's breaking up. She is breaking up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm having a problem too.
She's breaking up, yeah, and I hear some music too. I'm sorry.
I apologize. Can everybody hear?
You're going in and out.
I'm sorry. Sure. Better?
It's really in and out right now.
Is it better now?
Yeah, maybe
Continue.
talk some more.
It might be a good idea if everyone turned their cameras off. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I work with virtual meetings all day, and sometimes we have to do that when so many people are on a call.
All right, so let me.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So
I could turn mine off as well then. Okay.
Yeah.
100,000 people in his 20+ year career, right? Teaching, training, classroom management, consulting. Tonight, we are going to focus on lower barriers, getting to know you
Oh,
and I
no.
pain. Still nothing?
It's still breaking out, Mama.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's not your fault, obviously. But I'm
My
just
fault.
saying.
Okay, I will fix it, okay?
Okay, so I don't know if you want me to start. I couldn't hear what you said at the end. Should I start? Viviana?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. All right, first of all, good evening, families and parents and administrators. How are you? Hope everyone is doing well. I know that you're on mute, so it's fine. You can keep it there for right now. I'd like to just thank Viviana for this amazing opportunity to come before you and to present this training. As she said, we've gone back a few years now working with the various different sectors and groups within Hartford Public Schools. So again, I appreciate this opportunity. I'm going to dive right into this because it's a lot to unpack in a short period of time. So, and as she said, I do appreciate any type of feedback, input, which I'm going to ask for anyway. So that being said, let's start. Again, welcome to the SGC training this evening. And this is the first of two parts, as Viviana had mentioned. I'm not going to reiterate what she just mentioned. The only thing I'm going to mention is the very last sentence. It says, when I'm not sequestered in my office, there's a good chance I can be found at the beach riding my bike or hiking or kayaking with family and friends. And why do I put that there? I put that there for number one, so you get to know who I am a little bit better. And some of the things I enjoy doing, as you can see, I love being outdoors. So my time of year is soon to start. I can't not wait when it gets hot and warm. I don't care. I love it hot, love it warm. I'm a beach bum, love being out there, love being outdoors. In fact, I go hiking every day. In between workshops, I find an hour and I go out. And why do I do that? Because that's my way of de-stressing and decompressing. And I certainly pray and hope that each of you have found ways of doing this during the pandemic, whether it's through mindfulness, meditation, yoga, a new hobby, exercise. I hope that you have found that, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of our loved ones or our constituencies, those that we have to care for. So that's all I want to say. It's the most important part of this entire brief bio. So let's dig in. Today's agenda, we're going to look at building trust, and we're going to look at that in a number of ways. One, through validation, mirroring, NLP techniques, getting to know you, which is all part of lowering the barrier, and then finally identifying the pain. Okay, so there's a lot, like I said, a lot to unpack here. So I would greatly appreciate it. Again, you can put things in the chat if you'd like to, but I prefer to have conversation and dialogue, because when we have discourse like that, I find that it flows much better. Everyone can get involved, they can hear. So if you don't mind, I would prefer that. But if not, you can certainly put your information in the chat, and you can interrupt me anytime. You can either disagree, agree, I've done this, I haven't done that. And one of the three things you're going to find this evening that I always tell everyone is that for some of you, it's going to be affirmation of some of the things that you are already doing, which is fantastic. That just says that you are on the right trajectory. The second group of you is going to be just things that just need to be tweaked, just tweaking a few different things. And then for the remaining group, it's going to be some interesting ways and concepts of just rethinking, reimagining certain things. So that's what I hope the majority will be. But like I said, it will certainly cover all three of those areas. Okay. So before we start building a bridge, we first must understand what we are connecting. I mean, where's it leading? As educators, as parents, administrators, parent coordinators, parent liaison, leaders, we know who we're connecting with. In fact, let me know if I'm missing any type of parent. I only have 5 types here, so I know you all have, you come in contact with parents who are beyond these 5. So please let me know if I'm missing any parent. There's the over-involved parent, which is a good thing to a certain degree. Then you have your absentee, hard to reach parent. And that's where the majority of the frustration comes in. And we're going to talk about how to reach them in the second part, because that's more techniques and communication. The third one is the demanding parent. And then you have your defensive parent. and then the uncooperative parent. I mean, so there's so many different parents. I know there's a list of them. So let me just look in the chat very quickly to see if anyone put a parent or a type that I did not address on this screen. So let me just look very quickly. Nope, not yet. Okay. So can someone, did I cover all of the parents, or is there a type of parent that I'm missing? If so, let me know. Is there a parent type that I'm missing?
Hi, Michael. It's Isha from Dwight Belizzi. How about a parent who's scared to speak up?
Oh, who's scared to speak up? And what would be the reasoning behind
Either
that intimidation or trepidation, I should say?
I would say more in the concept of like not knowing to use her platform or her voice, or she's just scared.
Okay, good. I like that. I have to add that one. That's a new one. Hold on, I'm gonna put that down. Someone just put their name there. I want to write that down because I like taking notes just like you do as well. So that would be so basically not having a voice or scared to speak up. You said, right?
That is. Okay. Any other parents or anyone on the call would like to share?
This is Karma Liebert. I'm from Breakthrough South.
Supportive. Okay. Yes. How are you, Karma?
Good. How are you? I just wanted to add to the point that was just made that parents could be scared to speak up. Maybe there's a language barrier, and they don't know if there are resources to get their point across.
Like that. I'm writing this as you're speaking. That's wonderful. Resources to get their point across.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I have one, Michael. I'm sorry. This is Ashley.
Yes.
I'm one of
the
Ashley. Governance Council members at EMS. I see you have absent parent and hard to reach parent, but what about the overworked parent? The parent that has to meet a certain hours to make sure her bills is paid. They want to be present, but they're not.
Yep. And that certainly is an issue. And we have that, I think, identified as well in a couple of seconds. Okay. So, and I thank you all for, those additional parents. I took some notes because I'm going to add them as well. But sometimes I like to have parents on the other side, you administrators add parents, because I don't know all of them. So that's why I was asking that. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Okay, so let me just see something. And so these are your non-responsive parents, which comprise a lot of that, whether it's work-related or whether it's language barrier or whether not having the resources and the voice. So it's a lot of different things here. And someone just mentioned about the work schedule. Maybe they have a conflicting work schedule, language barrier, that was mentioned as well. What about a low knowledge quotient? They just aren't aware of certain things. And many parents, let's face it, many of them just feel inferior, particularly when they're around educators or they're in school. Some of them suffer from low self-esteem. They're not familiar maybe with their school policy. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You have anxious parents, stressed parents, bad experiences in school. Think about it. If a parent had a bad experience in school, they probably want to keep some distance between that thing that gave them the bad experience and themselves. Some of them are embarrassed for whatever reasons. And then you have those that feel they know more than the teachers or staff, which I find is just a defensive mechanism. So what happens is that you have these parents, you have children who come in with backpacks, and you also have parents that come in with backpacks, and they have their own share of issues inside that backpack, whether it's trauma or drama or things happening in their life. There's so much in that backpack that these parents are carrying. And I commend all of you for working the way you work with the population, because it's tough. It really is tough. Your job is not easy at all. So I definitely commend all of you. That backpack is getting heavier and heavier. So how do we then go about building relationships, breaking down those barriers and getting through? And I think that's where we all have this common denominator. So how do we build immediate trust and connection with parents? And there's some ways of making some really immediate connections. Some of this is going to come from a psychological point of view, and some of it's going to come from a business point of view. Like I said, I spent many years in business as well. So I usually try to meld all of those things together. So I'm going to introduce you to some new concepts this evening. Any questions so far or comments before I move on? No questions or comments? Okay, then let's continue. Now, How do you know? How do we know that parents, families, that they're being heard and understood? And that's a general question, but how do we know? I mean, is there frustration there? How do we know that they're actually being heard and understood? Is there any way of knowing that? Is there anything that we can do to make sure
Hi,
they're being?
Michael.
Yes. Yes.
Hi, Michael. It's Michelle. How are you?
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I think a way that I'm doing very well, thank you. I apologize. I'm having camera issues.
It's okay. I don't have mine on either, so it's okay.
I think one way that you can tell.
I think you just broke up.
Is by change and by accident. So I
I'm
think,
sorry.
you know,
Do me a
that's
favor,
a good
Michelle.
thing.
Michelle, do me a favor. Could you drop out for a second? I didn't hear the whole thing. I don't want to miss anything that you're saying. Michelle, can you hear me?
Can you hear me better now?
Good. Continue talking. I'll let you know.
Okay. I was saying that I think
Better.
by change happening and things manifesting and the
Mhm.
parents seeing it and the staff seeing it, I think that's when you know that the parent voice is really being heard.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Now that would be on the macro level. What about that micro level? Just making sure that individual parent is being heard. And that's really important what you said. When you start seeing changes, you know that they're being heard because the changes are taking place. So you're absolutely right about that. But how do you know that individual is being heard? Because there's so many parents out there. We want to make sure that we hear all of them. And let me just share with you, just in the interest of time, how to make that happen. It's basically validation. And some of you may have seen this example that I put up one time before. This is a mother, this was true, says, I'm very frustrated. I've been to the school 3 times to register my child, but they keep telling me that I'm missing documents. So we hear that word often, validation, but what does it mean to validate someone? Can someone tell me before I continue? What does it mean to validate that parent? Anyone have a definition?
You know what? I'm sorry. Hi.
Hello.
I'm Naisha. Hi.
Oh, hello, Aisha. Thank you.
I think I'm not specifically. Sorry, my first language is Spanish.
It's okay.
So I might struggle. And,
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I have a special ed. My daughter is high function. Every time I say special ed, I feel like I'm taking off. Oh no, I don't want to cry. But I feel like I'm labeling her, and it's okay. If we need a label, we need a label, and it's fine. We need to make other kids and other people understand that not everybody is the same.
That's true.
So I mean, you cannot be embarrassed of what you are because you didn't ask to be this way. That's the way you are.
That's the way you are. And
so
I
the
love
same
what
way. The same way that we encourage our kids to say, oh, I'm not a he, I'm not a she, he, she, the sexual stuff, I don't mean it sexual in a bad way. I mean,
I know, I understand what you're saying. Identification,
way,
identify it.
Exactly. So if my daughter is autistic, embrace it. That's who you are. That's what you are. And you don't need to feel ashamed or embarrassed.
You know something?
But I feel,
go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
No. Please finish.
I feel like we need to embrace all of it. If it's the autistic, they're not autistic, they have high function because my daughter is high function. So she obviously, I want to say quote unquote because I feel embarrassed when I have to say she don't look it, because you don't have to look a type of way to be.
That's right.
A thing. And that is the hardest part of my daughter being she's 13, she's an 8th grader, about to be a high school student, student. And
Whoops, did I lose you?
Ready,
Okay.
high schooler and all that. We don't need to just them to don't feel a type of way. You are who you
Who
are.
you are. Yep. I love
And
what you said.
everybody needs
I,
to accept you. And
yep.
then we need to learn to tell, not to learn. I'm sorry. I keep saying
Mhm.
to teach the other kids about the same way you're so eager to accept LGBT community, accept um your kids that has autism, not
Mhm.
autism, Asperger's, um, high function, low function,
Yep.
everybody, include everybody. But I think that they include so much with the LGBT, sexuality and whatever, and they keep ignoring some part of the actual people they cannot choose. They didn't choose that. They
Right. Right.
couldn't. And I know they other people they don't choose it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
They
understand. I
really
understand exactly what
left
you said, and
behind.
I understand what you're saying. And actually, what you said about validating and accepting them how they are, who they are, that's exactly what validation means. If you think about it, it's letting parents share their thoughts, feelings. In this case, you were talking about your children, without judging,
Yes.
criticizing, ridiculing, or abandoning them. And in fact,
Yes.
if you think about it, people think about the word abandonment like you have to actually be apart physically. But what the school has done to that mother who said that she's been to the school 3 times and they keep telling her she's missing documents, they have basically have abandoned her. And we don't know what that triggers. She may have had issues in her own life as far as abandonment. So how is she now going to relate and feel about going back to the school when she's feeling it's happened again to her? So these are things that we have to really be mindful of, and not just that one instance. That's why it's so important that we validate. And there's certain language that we wrap around validation. So some of the language would be, this isn't all of the language, but it's just examples. It must be difficult and painful to have something like that occur. What are we doing? We're saying, I hear you, I see you, I understand what you're going through. I can't even imagine what you're going through. Again, relating. It seems like things were going well and then this happened. These are all ways of validating, relating to parents and families and communities. Now, the last one, you notice that I have an asterisk there. And there's a reason, because when you say, I can relate to how you feel, that is a great segue. Excuse me? Okay.
No, I said you cannot, they cannot, unless
Okay,
you're in the same situation.
True, but this is what we're doing. We are trying to relate to how they feel, but this is what I want you to be careful of people, all of us, is that when we say we can relate to how you feel, it's a wonderful entry point, wonderful jumping in point, but be careful that you don't hijack the conversation. And by that, I mean, many times you'll say to your own children, oh, I can relate to what you're going through. I mean, when I was 15 years old and this happened to me, and then Bobby and I, then after that happened, and then we did this, we did that. And then 15 minutes later, you're still going back in your old memories of life and what happened to you when you were 15, and you left the person there. In your case, you left the parent there because you're relating so much to what happened to you. So it's good to say I can relate to how you feel, but then drop it and let them continue the conversation, because we do have a habit of hijacking it. And in fact, I was presenting this workshop the other day, and there was a principal on there, and she said, Mr. Herron, you're so right. She said, not only did I do that, now that I'm thinking about it, not only did I do that with my children who are grown now, but she said, I do it with my staff. And I have to realize that I can't take over the conversation because I'm not hearing them. I said, you're absolutely right. What you've done, then you diluted your validating them. So just be careful of that particular statement. That's all. But these are validating statements.
Hello. I know for me, being a dad with a child, this is the first year I've been validated at the school. I had to constantly go up there and remind them, he does not live with mom. Stop calling mom. Stop emailing mom. They have all my information. And I went through that for pre-K, kindergarten, and they finally got it right for kindergarten, for first grade. Wow. But the first 2 years, it was so frustrating because it's like, I gave you the court order, I pick them up, drop them off every day. Me and the teacher, we have great communication, but yet you're still contacting mom who has no input part of the court as far as school is concerned. Why aren't you calling me? Why aren't you emailing me? For the first 2 years, it was very, very frustrating.
That is frustrating. I could hear your frustration, and I'm feeling it for you, to be quite honest with you. And I mean, I can't imagine going 2 years saying the same thing over and over until finally they validated you. But look how long it took, all the time when they were not validating you, and that's why it's so important.
I know they had me bring the court order like 4 times. They had me bring letters from the doctor showing I was taking him. I had to bring my lease like 4 times. And it's like, why, if you have the court order?
Yep, I understand. And that's why if your story relates to the case study that we just looked at with the mother who went up there 3 times trying to register her daughter. So let me ask you this, and thank you for that. Thank you for that input, because that's real life. So I appreciate you giving that information and sharing it with everyone and being very transparent parent too. All right, so what would be the language then? Someone give me language that you would wrap around this person and her frustration. How would you validate her? What's the language that you would use? And we saw some examples. So someone give me, how would you do this?
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hi, my name is Raquel. I'm a parent.
Raquel, thank you.
So, I mean, I would actually tell her that I hear that you're frustrated and it's very frustrating. I also would probably ask her, how would you want us to help you? And if she's still frustrated, like, you keep telling me missing documents. So then I would also then probably try to figure out, okay, well, let me figure out who last called you, in terms of taking on accountability as a school official to find out what can I do to help her, and then figure out, okay, this is what's missing. How do you need assistance with finding out what's missing? If you need us, connect to somebody who can help you with what's missing or not missing. Do you have copies right now? We'll take the copies. Whatever protocol, there might be a different protocol, but just identifying that you are actively listening to her frustration, but you're also going to find some solution for her instead of sending her off and saying, hey, I'm busy, leave me alone. Because that's sometimes what we're talking about, sometimes dealing with schools that are not welcoming as well.
Yep, 100% right.
Trying to maneuver around that. The difference between me being a regular parent is because I'm also a social worker. So, so I think that sometimes I already kind of know some things to also assist the families that I work with when they're maneuvering through difficult school systems as well.
Well, I could tell because that was textbook what you said. You first validated by doing something called mirroring, which we can already take a look at. You actually beat me to it. And then you layered that with now trying to find a solution, or at least let her know that you're working to find a solution. And that's the order of operation. So you're 100% right about that. And thank you for that. So you just got finished doing mirroring, but you use the same language. And there's nothing more flattering or someone to know that they're being heard than to repeat those words, the same words that person used out of frustration, anger, whatever it is, whatever problem they're bringing to you. That's when they know that they're heard. When you start using other language, then they may not make, you're not making that connection, but always try to repeat that language back to them. And that way they know they're being heard. And be careful with the terminology, because I know when we get into education, I call it edu jargon, where we have all these acronyms. I mean, look at SGC, for instance, and then FCSSP. I mean, there's all these different acronyms. And if we start using those around parents, many times they get lost and they feel disconnected again and abandoned because they have no idea what you're talking about. It's like a foreign language. So let's just be mindful of that language as well. Any questions regarding mirroring and terminology before I move on?
I was going to say another thing.
Sure.
This is Raquel. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
Raquel.
one of the, I think that's one of the things. And I was listening to the other parent with, just people labeling special ed students or whatever. But that's another thing that advocating and helping parents maneuver that system, because sometimes just saying, hey, can we start this meeting with saying positive things about this student before you go into the negative? Or if you guys are
Mhm.
going to use acronyms, can you please break it down? Because sometimes it's just like a whole psychological, and the parents like, and then she leaves like, hey, do you
Right.
know what they were talking about? And then I'm like,
Right.
yeah, let me help you break it down some more so I could
Mhm.
simplify it for you, because sometimes parents don't want to be like, I don't know what the heck you talking about. Can you
Exactly.
please
Exactly.
slow it down? And then you see then they don't want to have these like judgments about them not
Mhm.
understanding. But I think sometimes just even like you said, jargon is like, bring it down to another level. Like you don't
Yep.
have to use all these other words, just simplify it
Exactly.
for people.
Exactly. Exactly. And thank you for that, because that's what we're talking about, lowering barriers. Let them sense and feel that you are on the same plane. Not that you're superior and using this language that they can't learn or understand, because after all, they are in a school. So right there's a little intimidation because, wow, I'm supposed to know this because this is school, and yet I'm not understanding what this person's saying. So therefore, I'm not going to come back next time. So you've lost that parent. So, so thank you for that, because you really affirmed exactly what I was saying. And I don't know if this is something in the chat. Let me see. Oh, this was people, I guess, just signing in. Do me a favor, Viviana, if you have, there's something in the chat that I need to address, just let me know, because I don't want to be remiss in not answering someone's question, or if they have something they want to add. So thank you, appreciate that. And thank you for your feedback, Raquel, that was awesome. Now, what I'm going to talk about right now is part of, so the first part we talked about was validating. The second part was, I'm sorry, the second part was mirroring. And now the third part of this is something that comes from NLP, which is neuro-linguistics programming. And it's a whole thing on that, but this is just one module. And it's something to do with when you are speaking over the phone to a parent, you're trying to make that immediate connection. I covered this in one of the other workshops, and something called in-sync breathing for when you are in person. Now, this is really getting granular, okay? What we've talked about so far was pretty much macro, if you will, but this is really getting granular, but it's extremely effective. They use it in business all the time. In fact, if you get robocalls, many times you'll get a call and they won't say anything on the other end until you say something. And then you'll hear it click on. It happened not too long ago. I was explaining to someone that I started speaking and I purposely changed my tone. And you would not believe it. All of a sudden, I know it was my imagination, the robo call sensed my tone going deeper, and it actually matched my tone. I said, I knew that, because I know this how this works. It's all about marketing. It's all about making those immediate connections. So one of the things that you can do, if you ever speaking to a parent who's not frustrated, just a regular, you introducing yourself, you just speaking to them, listen to their tone and listen to the pace of their conversation. Think about this. How often have you been on the telephone and you pick it up, and you have all this wonderful energy, because that's just your energy. That's who you are. You just speak very fast. You have a lot of energy. And the person on the other end is like, hey, Raquel, how are you? Hope all is well. I mean, there's such a disconnect there that you don't really want to continue that conversation. There's no connection. And it works vice versa too. Sometimes you could be very low, monotone, and the other person has all this energy. Try to match their pace and their tone. And if you do that, I guarantee you'll be on the phone longer with them. They'll react to you better because you've made that immediate connection. But it happens at the subconscious level, though. And this is what I learned in business and sales. We should always do this. I do it now. I make a gazillion calls at different schools and districts. First, I'll hear what someone says and how they say it, and then I always try to match their tone and their pace. If they're very fast, I'm very fast as well. If they speak very slow, then I try to modulate it to speak their tone and pace. Try it, and you'll see that you'll be able to make an immediate connection, and you'll be on the phone with that family, that mother, that father, much longer. It works. Okay, like I said, it's used in business often, and now they're doing it with robocalls and automated calls, so it works. Any questions regarding setting and mirroring tone, pace, and voice on the phone? Has anyone ever tried this?
I've gone an opposite way. If I hear a
Okay.
tone that's frustrated, I'm like, so it sounds like you're frustrated today, or I just try to figure out the feeling in their voice. Is something going on? Like sometimes I just go the opposite way.
You can, I mean, if that's effective, fine, as long as you're making that connection. You know, I just like to try to mirror and match everything. And I found in my career, it has been extremely successful. I usually make immediate connections with people when I do that. And then when I don't, I'll get off the telephone and say, that didn't go as well as expected. And then I'll say, you know something, I didn't do that. And many times that's my issue. So I do know that it works personally, and I know what works in business. The fourth part under NLP is something called in sync breathing. This is only in person. And this works not only in your relationship with families and parents, but it'll work with colleagues. And it also works, I'll give you a little bit of insight. It'll also work with your significant others, your partners, your spouses, if you want to reconnect with them. It's again done something that they are not aware that you're doing. So if you're sitting there in front of a mother or a father and you're very close to them, if you do this, you're going to find also another connection on the granular level. And that is when you see them breathing, try matching their breath as well. And you'll be shocked at how close you're going to feel. Even in fact, after this workshop is over, if you live with other people, you know, significant other, partner, spouse, tonight at some point, just sit next to them, to regular conversation without them knowing, and just breathe and copy their pattern of breathing. It's not going to match yours because they may be breathing faster or slower, but just try to match theirs. And you're going to get a sense of connectedness that you haven't experienced, maybe hopefully not in a while, I'm not going to say that, but you're going to feel a sense of connectedness. And if you do this with parents, the same thing will happen too. This is on a granular level. Okay, it's all part of the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's all about connecting with people, but it works. This is not hooby-jooby. This is not, you know, pie in the sky. It does work. So try it. And then at some point in time, maybe the second workshop, tell me if anyone has tried it and what was their reaction, response, and what happened, and how did you feel? That's the main thing I want to know. And for those of you that have an opportunity to do it in person with parents, try it as well, without them knowing that you are staring deeply into their eyes and how they're breathing. Okay, but it's very effective. Any questions on any of this so far I've mentioned? We're talking about connecting, talking about making building immediate bridges, connecting and building trust. Any questions? No questions. Okay, all are quiet. Okay, good. Well, hopefully you're taking copious notes then. And like I said, maybe this is one of the things that's like, wow, never, I didn't know that. Maybe that's the third column that we talked about. Okay, this is part two. The second phase of this workshop is getting to know you. And this is also part of that building of trust and building bridges. So let me ask you a question. How well do you know your parents and families? Now, I don't expect you to put that answer in the chat, but it's just for conversation. Do any of you know your families very well and your parents? Would you say, I mean, I know it's relative as well, but who here really knows their parents? I mean, I know you know their name, you know how many children they have, you know what grades their children are in, but how many of you know what they do for work, if they're working, if they're a single parent, if there's a support system at home? How well do you know them? Would anyone like to volunteer if they know their families very well that they work with?
I can volunteer. My name is Raquel.
Yes, Raquel.
I think that because I do in-home family work, then I get to kind of be in their business a lot more than like a school social worker. So I kind of, after a while of, you know, being around them, then they give you even more information. But right off the back, you're asking a lot of questions so that you can engage with them and get to know them. Sometimes you even kind of know what kind of things that they like. So maybe you might use that as an engagement tool as well. You know, like that you heard them that they like a candy or something, and then you say happy birthday to them because they mentioned their birthday was in July and you're working with them in the month of July, and you say happy birthday to them. So sometimes them knowing that, oh, you were listening, that kind of keeps them engaged even more.
Yep, keeps them engaged and it lets them know again, you actually validated them in another way without them realizing because you heard them. You know, wow, she remembers my birthday. It was in July. Wow, she said happy birthday. Yeah, those minor, those little tiny dots of connecting, those little tiny data points, they start to add up. You know, they really do. And that's why I ask this question. And I hope many of you have those type of relationships with your families and know them. So let me tell you a little bit more about me. Okay, so you get to know me a little bit more. You know, I love outdoors. You know, I love going hiking, kayaking, all that good stuff. I love beach and warm weather. But my secret indulgence is chocolate. I love chocolate. Walking the beach makes me feel alive. There's probably no other place where I feel more alive than walking the beach and the waves are coming up. That's just, I love it. I love to travel. On my bucket list is a travel to Machu Picchu in Peru. I love jazz and old school R&B. I do have a healthy fear of spiders, but definitely heights. Spiders, not so much, but heights I do. And as I've gotten older, it's become a little bit more intense. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. I have a Yorkie named Duke. That's made up. I don't have a Yorkie named Duke. And my favorite streaming shows are Ted Lasso, Evil, Succession, Billions, and Ozark. So this one, like, now that you know a little bit about me, just let me ask you, who here can relate to any of these things that you have some commonality with this list here? Is there anything on this list that you also enjoy? You can put that in the chat or you could speak it out loud if you'd like to. And there's 44 people on here, so I'm quite certain.
You said something about Machu Picchu?
Yes, yes.
Am I wrong? And you
Yes.
say you like watching the Ozarks?
Watching which one?
Ozarks, right there. I'm sorry. The last one, the one I have an accent.
Okay, it's okay.
Ozarks.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
That,
Oh,
that
you
is
like it?
great. Oh,
Yes, great show. Great show.
And
Love it.
Machu Picchu, a lot of how you call it? Enrichment. It's a lot of culture, you know, some
Mhm.
other people culture,
Yep,
Peruvian.
so
And
many
that is a
cultures.
beautiful cultures. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
See,
So I can
good,
I don't
good.
know if those things that you got me there.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'm not looking that everyone would be the same category, but at least you have some things. We have some things in common.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we do.
I saw chocolate. I saw a lot of people put in the chat. Chocolate is something that they like. Walking on the beach. Fear of heights too. Yep. Walking outdoors, skiing and boating. Fantastic. See, why do I do this? I do this because not only do you get to know me better, but this is an example of how we relate to families. And just like you were saying, Raquel, it's so important that we pick up on these little nuances to make these connections and to build bridges is what we want to do. So the question then is this. I just pretended that I was one of your parents, okay? So I'm your parent. I'm one of the parents. You found all this out about me. You know me better because you've been in my home. You've done the intake. I've visited the school several times. I told you all about me as a parent. But the question is this. Now that you know me as a parent, the question is, how well do your parents and families know you? How well do they know you? Do they know these things about you that I just got finished talking about? So let's reverse it. Let's pretend this is you like this is me. They know these things about you. Your favorite TV shows, your favorite ice cream, your flavor of ice cream, what you like to do on vacation. What type of music do you enjoy? What type of TV shows? Do they know these things about you? Or is it unilateral?
Not at all.
So tell me a little bit more. Tease that out a little bit. Oh, not at all, meaning that they don't.
Not at all. They don't know nothing about me. I come, you know, I'm 43. You know, obviously I'm not saying I'm the oldest, but I mean like, oh, my parents, they're Puerto Ricans. You know, they have the macho type of thing. So basically, I guess not everybody, but at least my family, we didn't talk like that.
Okay.
So we were there, but we don't know each other like that.
Gotcha. But this is why I'm saying that so it's important, but it's also building bridges. And that's what this is relationship building. Like when they get to know you and say, wow, you like Miles Davis. Wow, I love like Miles Davis. Also, my father loved Miles Davis growing up. That's all he used to play in the house. Love it. He played trumpet, matter of fact. Also, I love walking the beach as well. Which beach do you go to? Which beach do These are connection points. And I think sometimes we miss it because it's unilateral. We're only looking at it one way and we're not looking at it coming back the other way. So, and when you do that, with lowering barriers again, and that's the whole purpose, to let them know that you're human, you have blood and skin and tendons and all these other things, you're just like they are. All right, so if they don't know a lot about you, open up a little bit, be a little more transparent, okay? That would help a lot. So any questions regarding this? Any questions, any comments?
Question, Michael. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
Are you relating to the school or other parents with other parents and families with other families?
Wait,
or
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. The question.
Are you relating this topic to parents knowing parents, or teachers in school staff knowing parents? Or
I'm talking staff, administrators. Your group.
Parents.
Yeah, when you're dealing with parents, I'm saying let them know a little bit more about you for trying to build bridges between parents and families and you. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so my question to you is, how would you go about it where I'm relating to myself? My son is in kindergarten. So preschool, I got to know 3 great parents, but there were more students in that class. And a lot of it could be their work schedules. It could be a lot of different things, right? But the one parent I got to know, we exchanged numbers, play dates. So it was pretty cool. We got to know each other at that level. But how can parents go about actually communicating and getting this going?
You're talking about parent to parent, though. You're talking about parent to parent. Is that it?
Or even teachers. I know at the PTA meetings, what I do with the teachers, I try to go into my son teacher and I have the same rubric of at home because he has a few behavior issues. So we get to talk about, she likes to shop and things within that nature, and so do I. But how can parents, with parents and teachers, go about this a little further?
Okay. In fact, you can make it a game. You can have a sheet of paper and put different things, and what you could do, you go around. I mean, you get to tease us out more. You go around and find out who here loves jazz, and you try to speak to different parents. You're speaking to different parents. You look like you may have been the person that put down jazz on the paper. Was that you? No, that wasn't you. No, I put down chocolate. Oh, that's one of the things I put down. So you can make a game out of this, and then you get to know more parents, and each parent can do something like this where they get to know each other and the things they like doing, and the teachers can get involved also.
Yeah. I know for me at my school, we have what we call a cultural night. And that would sort of be a very good setting to have activities like those.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Instead of just food, and it's usually based on food and eating. And it could be a time like that where parents get to know teachers. But I don't really see that happening.
No, I know we don't see it because it's not really traditional, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about breaking through and doing things different than we normally do them.
Right.
So you get to know the teachers. Teachers know the students. They know the families of the students, but very seldom. When I'm doing professional development with teachers, I ask them the same question: how many of your families know? How much do they know about you as an individual? That you play basketball down in the village on Saturdays, or how many of you know that you volunteered a hospital for those who are in hospice, whatever the case may be. But that's what it's about. It's about relation building and building bridges. So yeah.
I was going to make a suggestion.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Merrick Kopp. I'm a teacher over at Capital Prep, and it was a very busy evening here with my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old and dinner.
It's okay.
So I apologize. I was looking at my email. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm here. I'm really glad to be tagging into at least the ending part of our conversation. But I agree with, I think it was Ashley who was speaking about how do parents go about doing, starting this conversation. And Henry had a great suggestion where they have those cultural nights, which is a super event for the school to have, but it really would be, I think, suggestions from the parent making to the school or even just to their classroom teacher. And then really the teacher taking ownership of creating that event and facilitating that event. And even it could just be as simple as a coffee talk. Like
Yeah.
here we have 1 hour. This is my prep time that I'm willing to give up, right? We have 1 hour. And let's maybe reserve the cafeteria, or let's reserve the library or whatnot. And we have some pastries, we have some coffee. Like Henry said, it's usually around food. You know, you have something there to offer. And it's really just to kind of get to know each other.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you can, as
exactly.
a teacher, facilitate start, you know, with these talking points, a little bit about me, and then also have throw a game in there. So you're all kind of mixing and mingling and getting to know each other. These same points, maybe you all fill out a card,
Right.
or something. But really it's up to the teacher and the school to, I feel, really create and then promote and then facilitate a day or an hour, a night, something like this activity. But parents, feel free to make those suggestions as well, because I think that from the teacher perspective, we do get a little, we have all these wonderful ideas in the beginning of the school year, and then we get so caught up in the assessment and the this and the that and all these deadlines and the curriculum and whatnot, that we forget that we too have to continue to make this relationship with our parents. And it really, I think, is twofold though. So parents, you know, always feel free that it for me anyway, as my, you know, my opinion, feel free to always reach out and make suggestions and say, hey, now I know this year and last year were a little different with our COVID restrictions, but hopefully we're getting out of that and we can have more events in the school. So parents, I say, feel free to make your suggestions and ask your questions and see if you can get into the school a little bit more to have some more functions like that. Just my 2 cents.
And no, and I thank you. And I thank you for the the teacher's perspective too. That's a wonderful perspective that we have. So I thank you for that very much. Yes.
When, say, a parent comes to you and they're having a rough time communicating with the teacher to the point where they don't want to talk to the teacher and they want you to be the third party, what icebreaker or what approach would you take to kind of mend that relationship between that teacher and that parent so that they could begin to create a relationship amongst each other?
Are you asking the teacher that, or do you want her perspective? Because I'm thinking that, you know, that may be something that she can address and speak to, or were you asking me? I mean, just let me know. I don't know.
I can, but
yes.
It's whoever the question's directed towards.
Good. Sure. Good.
Both of you answer so I can hear both point of view.
Sure. I think that is something the teacher should be aware of with their families. But it's happened before where, and I'll admit, I said something to a parent about, you know, just a situation with the student, and I was saying, this is how it is. This is what happened. This is how, with the situation, this is how it was handled. And I think the parent understood in time, but was a little taken aback by the approach that we took, and actually needed to speak with someone else and say, you know, I just want to tell you that this is how it came across to me as the parent. So that person came to me and spoke with me and said, what do you think you need to do to repair this relationship? And I didn't know there was a concern at all. I didn't know because the parent didn't come directly to me. But it's then my obligation as the teacher to then reach out to the parent and explain maybe a little bit further about, you know, what I had discussed a couple days prior to and why and our reasons for doing what we did. But really to take ownership of the situation and try to mend that relationship, because I think what's most important is for the teacher to reach out to that parent to know, I care about, and get the message across. I care about your student. I'm here because I care about your student or your child, and I have his or her best interest at heart, because we do. And I think that once that message is sent to the parent from the teacher reaching out, it can only get better from there. But it really is, it's the teacher's responsibility to if made aware of an uncomfortable situation between parent and teacher, it's the teacher's professional responsibility to reach out to that parent to mend the relationship, and just make sure that you get across to that parent and take ownership of it, right? I was surprised when I heard I had offended this parent, and I felt awful, because we don't want to upset parents either. But we need to take ownership of our responsibilities. That's what we tell our students all the time, right? So we need to, of our actions. So we need to take ownership and responsibility for our own actions, and then reach out to mend that relationship, and just make sure you let the parent know, I really do have your child's interest, at best interest at heart. I really do. And this is why I did what I did. But how would you have liked me to handle that differently, or how can we come together to so if we have a situation like this again, what do you think a better plan might be? And really include the parent in on that plan. The more involvement I think they have, and the more awareness they have of what's happening with their student, the more comfortable they would be. I know I would be comfortable as a parent having more involvement. So.
And I thank you for that. And I just want to piggyback very quickly, because someone said something very earlier in the workshop about starting out with something positive. I always believe that many times you establish that relationship before that thing happens. And what about just a call to the parent, just to say, something, I don't know what happened over the last couple of days, but Michael has shown a marked improvement in his ability to sit for longer periods of time. Mom, whatever you're doing at home, keep doing. You're doing a great job. It's a 30-second call. It's a 30-second call, or a card that goes home. Just something that mom can say, wow, feel good, without a phone call where she thinks immediately is something negative. We all know, we all usually think, oh, here's the school's calling. What did she do? What did he do now? What about if it's just one of those wonderful calls before this? Now you've already established a relationship. Mom is in a different position, and she's going to approach you differently as well. So it starts there. It really starts before those things happen. You have to be proactive. Just be proactive about it. Okay. And thank you for your input. I appreciate that. So hopefully those two, and that answers your questions to a certain degree. Okay. So let me just move here very quickly. But this is the third part. The first part, what did we do in the first part? We talked about validating, right? Then the second one, we did a lot of NLP, different things like that. Then we talk about the pain points. Now, if you read this, what it says is, pain points are persistent problems with a product or a service. Obviously, we're not talking about that. That can inconvenience customers in their business, or simply put, their unmet needs waiting to be satisfied. And so let's look at it from a parent point of view, family point of view, whether you're a teacher or whether you're an administrator or support person supporting families. Let's look at it from that perspective. So what we need to do, we need to identify with a pain point. So they use this in business all the time, because once you can identify pain in a business, then you know exactly how to address it. You know the solutions. You can look like a hero at that point. So let's look at, these are some of the pain points that we're aware of. Maybe transportation, getting to and from school. Maybe parent has a lack of support at home, school, or even school, as we just heard the gentleman talk about how it took so long for him to be validated. 2 years. Maybe at home, technology, can't connect the computer. Maybe they have spotty Wi-Fi in the community, school supplies, clothing scarcity, food scarcity, housing scarcity, safety concerns. I mean, these are all different points of pain that many parents are dealing with. Are there any others that I may have missed that you come across that you're dealing with, either from a teacher's perspective or support person? Are there any that I've missed here that I can add to this list? Hopefully not, but I don't want to add a lot of pain. But are there any other pains that I missed out there that you can think of that parents have expressed? Okay, if I hear silence, that means no more pain. That's good. So we don't. Oh, go ahead.
Trauma.
Oh, trauma. Okay, yeah.
And I say trauma because the neighborhood I live in, a lot of the young men and women are getting arrested. Their friends are getting shot, stabbed, and the parents are just now finding out that their children are living this lifestyle but when they find out it's in the middle of, oh, he or she just got shot, or he or she just got arrested, and it's a little bit too late to try to step in and change, because they've already put themselves in a bad predicament, making poor decisions.
Exactly.
So a lot of parents have that trauma that they take home with. We really don't know. Okay, they break down and cry. They can't do the dishes. They can't clean properly. Husbands and wives might not talk for a couple of days or weeks because of the trauma. This is a pain that is hidden very well within families that children pick up on.
Sure.
And bring to school and lash out.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Trauma is huge. And there are some things we have control over, and there's some things, unfortunately, we don't. We can't mandate what happens in one's home, but we can certainly try to minimize those things in school and when we do reach out to them. And I thank you for that, because that's not only important, but it's also real, and it's happening in so many communities. You're absolutely right about that. So let me ask you a question. Let's just say, for instance, you're either a teacher or support personnel, and these are two ways of approaching, because someone else asked before, how do you approach this? How do you even segue? How do you broach a conversation? I see you every day outside the school waiting for your children. How are you doing? Okay, that's one way. But what about this? I see you every day outside the school waiting for your children. What has been your biggest challenge this school year? Which one of these do you think that parent may open up and tell you more about? I think it's pretty obvious.
The first one.
The first one. How are you doing? As opposed to the biggest challenge this year?
Because that's asking the person how's their day, no matter if it's good or bad. I know I got to communicate with a lot of parents when I was dropping my son off. How are you doing today? How was your day? That usually starts to tone up a conversation. Challenges, some people may just, depending on the nature of the situation, will come out and tell you. But a lot of times a person just want to know, how was your day? How are you doing? Truthfully, because if somebody asks me how was my day, that kind of be like, oh, thanks. It was great. How was yours? That starts to tone up a conversation.
Yeah, it can certainly start. It certainly can. I just know that parents are just dealing with so many challenges, like the young man was just talking about, just from a trauma. And not that, you open up a can of worms and all of a sudden they're telling you everything, but still they need to get it out sometimes. So I think sometimes, particularly now, we're just coming out of this pandemic, many times if you ask them about challenges, because what parent hasn't had challenges, whether it's loss of family members, friends, job, income, house. I mean, there's a plethora of challenges that every single person has dealt with. So that would be a common place that you could start out, or like the young lady just said, you could just ask how you're doing, and maybe that will ignite that conversation as well. Okay, but let me share something with you. I want to share something that was very clever that this math teacher did. I shared this before. Oh, sorry. And this is the second part of this. Whenever possible, and I think the teacher she actually mentioned this. She talked about, well, how can we work together to resolve this? It's basically the same exact principle. Develop a collaborative problem-solving partnership with your parents if you can. Again, it lowers the barriers, as we've been talking about. It empowers that parent. And not only that, the parent then becomes a little more resourceful and resilient. When maybe next time, guess what? I'm going to handle this myself. But if not, she knows that you're there. But when you solve all the problems for them, then they don't become as resilient. And that's what we want to do, create a collaborative partnership of problem solving. So for instance, right, I tell you what, Ms. Jones, let's meet next Tuesday. And I want you to think about some of the things that you can do. And what I'm going to do in between that time, I'm going to come up with 2 solutions myself. And together we'll solve this. Or guess what? Maybe the solution you come up with may be one of the same ones I come up with. And that would be really funny if we both came up with the same solution, or we'll just have 3 good solutions. So remember, you bring 1 solution in, and I'll think of 2, and we'll solve this together. That's partnering. And you put the ownership on her as well as yourself. And believe me, they will come up with solving problems. Sometimes people send up the right flag, and if they really sat down, they can come up with some solutions on their own. I truly believe that. I think that we are really, really resourceful when someone gives you the opportunity to do so. Okay, so this is the example I was going to tell you now. I used this in a different workshop before here, but let me just mention this to you. A math teacher had parents respond to the following question with 2 to 3 sentences. That's all we asked them to write. If you could be an addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division sign, which one would you be and why? And what he thought or she thought that they would receive is just just telling them which ones, and because I like math, or I did well in addition, or I like to divide, I do that at my job. That's the kind of answers that she or he thought that they received from the parents. But what they received was something that blew him away. And I'm going to show you how he addressed their pain. He found their pain by this one question. Their responses. One parent said that she desired to be an addition sign because she wanted to spend more time with her children. The teacher then sent her an article on creating quality time with your children. Again, creating relationships. Another parent wrote that they wished to be a subtraction sign so they could subtract poverty from the world. The teacher found out what her favorite charity was and made a small donation and informed the parent. Third one, still another wrote that they would like to be a multiplication sign so they could multiply their finances. So the teacher personally invited her to a parent workshop on handling the finances. It's validating, it's hearing, addressing the pain where it is. One parent wanted to multiply her children because they brought her so much joy. And the last one, another wanted to add strength to her body because she had multiple sclerosis. The teacher sent her a YouTube video on strengthening your muscles with common household items. Brilliant. He was not expecting these responses by asking a simple question like that. But look what he found out, and then look how he addressed it. Powerful, powerful. So we can all do this and build bridges. So many different ways of doing this. And if we had the time, I would definitely continue on and on and on, but I know that we all have to get back to dinner, our loved ones, our family, but it has certainly been a wonderful experience for me personally. The input, the insight that you all shared, the real life situations, I mean, it just made it more, just illuminated even greater the issues that we have out here. And hopefully I've given you some ideas, some solutions, some strategies and techniques to help build these bridges and bring down these barriers. So that's what we did today. We developed building trust, validating, mirroring, a couple of NLP techniques, getting to know you. Again, what do they know about us as educators, as leaders? What do they know about us? We know them. Let's reverse that. Let them know more about us. So I'm going to ask, are there any questions? I have a couple of things in the chat. Okay, thank you. Yes, you're quite welcome. This is my information here. And you can take a screenshot. You can take a picture of it. If you ever want to get in touch outside, please do. You can email me, text me, email me, call me. My email, my website is here as well. So by all means, reach out to me whenever you'd like to. So now I'll take any questions that you may have. If anyone has any questions, comments. I mean, did you learn anything? Did you know all of this already? Like I said, it was going to probably hit 3 different areas. Those who are doing a lot of this is going to affirm, the others is going to tweak, and then for others, it's going to be just a different way of thinking. So give me some feedback. I appreciate it.
Michael, I want to thank you for today's training. It was very inviting, and I think it opened a door and a pathway, hopefully, for better communication with parents and schools and things within that nature. But my question is for you. Will you do any additional trainings? Because I honestly believe that this was a great training overall.
I do have this whole, yeah. Well, we have this, excited. Sorry, we have the second part on May 12th, we said, right? May 12th. That's part 2 of this. And that's going to be more of the hands-on things that we can do in communication and frequency. We'll cover a lot there. But besides that, Miss Martinez, if she's still here, I sent her an entire schedule of workshops that many of the FCSSPs are doing. So we have a whole series of workshops that's more geared towards parents. So we have anxiety workshops. We have discovering your child's hidden talents. We have cultivating a love for reading. So there's a lot that goes under that banner. We have a total of 16 workshops currently. 10 are for parents, 6 are for professional development, and we're soon to create 2 more, actually, so we'll be up to 18. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, yes, there are other workshops, so please get in touch with either Viviana or Miss Martinez if you know her.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. My pleasure. My
Thank
pleasure.
you, Ashley. And yes, so all of you, thank you so much. This conversation today was amazing. More than welcome to join our next one in May. We do have a question, Michael, and this is something that I actually never asked you, I think, in the past.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a way to get your slides? And I know like there's proprietary stuff, so like that's why I don't ask.
Yeah, no. Well, no, you can always ask. What I do is this: I don't send out the entire PowerPoint, but I will take the more salient slides and I will make those available to you, and then you can distribute those to the participants.
Okay, perfect. Sounds perfect. Okay, Henry. So there you have it. Once I get those from Michael, I'll definitely blast that out to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, you're welcome, Henry. And there was a question in the chat.
Yes. Do you have any sessions specifically for schools to help them with all the techniques to bridge the gap between school and parent?
Between school and parent.
Right.
I thought this was in part of that. I thought.
Right. No, I agree, but I think
maybe
it could be more so like. And Monali, you can jump in anytime, but I'm thinking from this question, kind of like, can you coach this school? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you go to right? I see some people like nodding yes, no, yeah. So can you coach this school?
Their school,
like
individual schools.
Right. I think that's
okay.
Where
So you're talking about like a professional development for the individual schools.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I do that all over. Actually, everything I've been doing has been virtual, so I can work directly with the schools. Sure, I work with all the different faculty, the principal. Yes, it's not an issue. It's not a problem.
Right. Awesome. So if anybody needs to ask, if you all want his information, I have it. I have the phone number, the email. I'm almost about to go pay him a visit because Michael has done great trainings for us, not only here, but he's also worked with our family and community support service providers directly, right, as a team in the Office of Family and Community Partnerships. So we know all the great work that he does, and we know how amazing it can be. Definitely take a picture of his info. Again, next session in May, we'll send that out as well. And for those of you who are still here, because I know a lot of us had to leave, I have one ask. Yeah, and this is coming from my office, right? The Office of Family and Community Partnerships is working to develop a parent or family and caregiver academy. It's looking to be more of a resource center, parent-to-parent contact, right? But we need your voice, we need your input. And I'm going to drop in the chat a link for those of you who want to participate in this. Please sign up for a focus group. We are giving out gift cards. Don't ask me for where, because they don't let me know. They don't let me know. Okay. We are working with the Next Teacher Project. They are a consulting company and they are doing this for us. So feel free to say all the good, but also feel free to say all the bad. Feel free to say the beautiful, the ugly, the gray areas, the black and white, absolutely everything we need to hear, so that way we can provide all of our families with something that is actually resourceful, right? We don't want to just check off a box. We don't want to pop up something just because we wanted to say we did. So please sign up for those focus groups. There are signups for Spanish speaking only focus groups. So if that's you, check that box and we will be in touch with you. Well, again, not me, because they don't let me know, but somebody from TNTP will be in touch with you. Please sign up. And I really look forward to, we have heard some good things already. And I'm looking forward to hear more about it. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
And thank you, Viviana. Again, if there's no other questions, I'm going to let you good people go and get back to your families and everything else.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yes, okay. It's okay.
Hi, this is Sidoni. On that Google form you just submitted to us.
Yes.
Oh, that's for you.
No
That's for you.
longer accepting any responses.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Refresh. You see, I wanted to ignore people on another Google form and I make do you see how I am? I closed the wrong one.
Okay. I
closed
just want to say thank you for that information, because I forget too, I'm a building substitute teacher and I forget to kind of give the parents heads up about who am I, because I'm also a partly educating their child too in the classroom. And I'm not just a person here. I love chocolate. I love going to the Hartford Yard Goats game. I'm a part of this community. I'm a product of this community. So definitely, I am definitely going to change the wheels when I start talking to parents, even just sending them a brief email about who am I.
There you go. Exactly. It all starts there. So thank you for that. Thank you for that input. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, again, we won't hold you up. We already held you up an extra 15 minutes.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you, Michael. We
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you, everybody.
Be well.
And thank you to
Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.